So we're back, and we were talking a little bit off mic about, had a little extended conversation about submission, and you shared something, Cheryl, that I'd like for you to share with our audience, please.
Well, I think that the older I get, I think that it may be a little more of a challenge in theory, and all of the things that were said earlier, I totally agree with. I believe that I could, and that I would be submissive, especially if they are led by God. But when you're older and you've had to do it all yourself and you've been independent, what you know in terms of theory and what you think you can do may be hard to practice when it's reality.
Right.
Because you know you have to really trust someone, and you're waiting later in life, then I think it's more difficult to do so.
I agree.
And I think that, you know, to be submissive and not want to do something based upon you always had to make the decisions before by yourself.
Yeah.
It'll be a little more difficult. I'd still be up to the challenge, but I know that knowing myself, that it'll be a little more
Yeah,
difficult.
because I think about how many years I've kept it all together,
Right.
you know, as a woman by myself, you know, things that people usually attach to, you know, a man and a woman, a husband and a wife, you know, having a home, having this, you know, and all that. You know, I've done those things on my own, but I also just think sometimes it just kind of boils down to praying and asking God to open your mind to when He puts that man before you, you know, to allow it to be very, very clear that it's okay to embrace that. You know.
And I even have an example. My parents have been married almost 50 years. And so my dad was the breadwinner, was the one who was been a deacon all of my life, as you know, and he made good decisions, and she trusted him, and he did very good for our family. But even knowing that, me being, you know, independent and having to make those decisions, even with a great example, that's why I think I can do it. But we'll see
how many of us can say, because I know I do, I would have to be totally honest that I base a lot on, when you brought up your father, that made me think of, I'm like, I have said so many times, my dad opens the door for me. My dad pays for my lunch when we go to lunch. My dad, you know, and I mean, if we're honest, you know, I think we really do. That was our measuring stick, right? You know, whether it was our moms, because I know you spent a lot of time, you know, with just you and your mom,
right.
And she was your measuring stick.
As far as being independent and taking care of things,
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I would say that too. Like growing up, it was just my mom, single parent household, and when I first got married, I guess, and a lot of the ladies in my family are single as well, and so this whole marriage thing in our family, and marriages lasting beyond 2 and 3 years for the women in my family, has been something that I think I have accomplished. But it does take work, because, you know, I grew up and my mom did raise me to be independent, and so I had to learn how to step back and trust that, you know, my husband can do the things that need to be done. So it can sometimes still be challenging now. I have to remind myself, and I always joke with him a lot of times, like, that's why I married you, so
Yeah.
let me just sit back now. So it takes work.
Yeah.
So.
All right, so we're moving on to equally yoked, and how you guys view being equally yoked. I have a panel of very well-educated women at this table, and I know that sometimes, especially in this world that we live in now, education is one of the bigger things that people look at. Education, jobs, you know, job status, and all of that. So, what do you think of when you think of being equally yoked?
Well, I think that the Bible reference in terms of believers being equally yoked, or not being, you know, unequally yoked. And so that of course is the first characteristic for me in terms of, do we share the same beliefs? You know, are you spiritually led? Are you God led? You know, is this a sin of your life? I mean, we're automatically, that's not something that you are a part of, then we're under. Now, the part in terms of jobs, and I think that when I was younger too, that I thought more of, you know, I act like I'm so old, I always refer to me when I was younger, but you know, I did look at education in terms of maybe, you know, status, or, you know, things that maybe not are the same now. Because, you know what, you could be a Christian and a believer and maybe, you know, not have all of the, I guess, trappings that, you know, you think a person should have. But now, again, maybe your job is not at a certain level that, but you are employed. So let's just say that, you know, job versus no job, or, you know, and that kind of thing. So there's a level to everything, but I think the first thing is, of course, are you a believer? You know, are you led by God?
I think that we each have a unique set of talents and gifts, and so I would couple that with, if the individual is shares the same, you know, faith that I do, because I will go back to, you know, being set out with purpose, and those gifts and talents that my husband possesses really do complete me. I am not the financial wizard. I like managing money with a ballpark figure. He's down to the penny. Everything in his mind has a place, and I like it clean and neat, but, you know, it has to be in its place. And so we complement one another, and everything where he is strong, I may not be so strong, and where I am strong, he may not be so, but when we come together, we're a force. And I think that society really challenges that thinking, you know, because of status. We get caught up in, you know, what a person does for a living, or where they went to school, or how they grew up, and none of that really matters in the grand scheme of things. And I also think that it really leads you to a greater connection with an individual when you can find yourself having faith in common, and then their gifts and talents really do edify you. They pull out and bring out the best of you, and you in them.
So Randy, while you're there in that little space, maybe just talk about that. So I just mentioned a little while ago, like, we're in this age of independent women. And maybe some of the other ladies can talk about it, since you've been married for 23 years, but I'm thinking that has had some impact on how well people are connecting. Because when, you know, those of us that are around the table that are over 50 and thinking about connecting with someone, and yet I don't think any of us have that desire just based on what somebody can do for you, like financially or something like that, because we've all been very independent. So does that have a negative impact, you think, on how much we are willing to work with a guy that maybe we meet and we're like, Takitha, you know, like, oh, at first I really wasn't, you know, but yeah, I'm not gonna worry about it because I can take care of myself. I mean, you know how it went out.
Well, I think it definitely has to do with your maturity level. You grow, and you come to find out that the things that you had interest in when you were much younger, they just don't appeal anymore, and you start seeing life different. I know for me, I had to be more intentional about what I desired and what I needed for my life. So as I was seeking God for what I needed for my life, I just had to just really look at myself and, you know, make myself accountable for some things that, you know, I really didn't want to look at, but sometimes we have to check ourselves, and, you know, it eventually worked itself out. But, yeah, but we just have to be more intentional, and I think it makes the difference.
I do think too, even in marriage, you know, you go up and down that ladder, in and out. But I think the connecting piece is more difficult when you're looking for affirmation, because I've been affirmed. But when I'm looking for not just my husband to accept me, but in any relationship, and so I think affirmation, my husband needs to give me a degree of that, but he's approved me. And like really letting that settle helps you to know what's good for you and what's not, and when it's not equal. In a girlfriend relationship, in a co-worker relationship, because you'll find that you can't be a different person. You know, you are going to show up no matter what dynamic, you know, you're in. And so if you're really looking for other people to tell you who you are and what you're about, you can't equally attach yourself to anybody. That's really, for me, it was really pivotal in being able to say from 19 to 46, I'm different. And did I lose the 19-year-old? Because the 19-year-old still had grand visions of where she wanted to be at 46.
Yeah.
And so how have I allowed life and experiences to change that?
So we've got